All right, everyone, we are going to do a lab here based on our roles-based access controls. Now, there are actually a couple ways and a couple different locations which honestly make it a little bit difficult. I wish they were a little bit easier and more unified, we'll just say, to be able to get to the roles or the roles-based access controls inside of Office 365. Now, there's one place that I always go, and that's where we're going to go here, but I do want to show you there is another place where if we come over here to the Admin Center, and again, remember, you need to learn how to log in. admin.microsoft.com, login.microsoftonline.com. All of them will take you to the same spot. Log in with your user name and password. We're going to come over here to roles. We'll drop that down and we'll see role assignments. I don't use this one here, but just to give you an idea here, there are some roles. And Microsoft kind of put them in nice categories and such. However, I actually like using the Azure Active Directory. But now here's one thing. I just want to give you a high-level overview. Here's all of the roles that are inside of, and you can see we have Azure AD and Exchange. So when we're looking at the roles, let's go over to the place that I like to go to, which is the Azure Active Directory Admin Center. Okay, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to click on Azure Active Directory on the left, and then we'll see roles and administrators. Those will open up over here and we'll see essentially all the same thing, but what this allows us to do here is to be able to, I just think it's a little bit easier to work with. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole scenario here. Now there are pieces inside of here that we may have to utilize for the Exchange side, but we're not really going to touch too much into that. So let's just look at these here first. So here's all the roles that are on here. So for instance, and I'm going to pick some of these easier ones to deal with. Let's just say billing administrator. So again, billing for the Office 365 environment is actually a pretty important thing here because again, if I were just able to add services and such on here, I can go crazy with Office 365 services and just add them to there, and then maybe we get added to our enterprise agreement or whatever it may be. Well, guess what? We are paying for it all. So again, we want to make sure that's kind of limited down there. So, if we click on it here, we can see currently right now, nobody has an assignment on it, which again, that's fine. If we look at the description of it, here's everything it does. Now, these are down to the nitty gritties. These are all essentially API calls that it can do. So it makes purchases, manages subscriptions, manages support tickets, and monitors service health. Those are the things that this particular administrator role can do. So who should really be in here? Well, sometimes account payable, maybe some, like an IT director, IT manager, like a business decision maker, people who actually handle the money for an organization. Maybe they want to have this role. And if they're given this role, this is all they're given access to on top of just their standard user stuff, we'll say. They have the ability to do these other things here too. No, I'm not going to go through all of these here, of course, but just to give you an idea, here's some of the things that it can do. A lot of reads, which are fine. There's not a whole lot of problems with reading things. Writing is where we start getting a little bit of changes. So again, manage all aspects of Office 365 billing. That's one of the calls that it can do there. So again, that was just one example. But let's go to that one that I showed you here, the Global Administrator. So we have two globals. We have Global Reader and Global Administrator. Can manage all aspects of Azure AD and Microsoft 365 services that use Azure AD. So we'll click on it here, and we can see we have 3 accounts right now that are currently in the assignments. So as you see here, we have 3 users. Yeah, we're technically adhering to Microsoft's best practices, which is fine, but let's look at the description. So again, as you can see, you can read this, of course, this is the Keys to the Kingdom account. Look at everything it can do. And I'm just going to give you a high-level overview. We have lots of creates, updates, deletes, lots of stuff. Manage. All of these things in here. Lots of managers, lots of everything. And again, this is just a huge list of stuff that this account can do. The reason why that Microsoft recommends keeping this account here as, we'll say, least populated as possible is for this reason here. This should not be so much of a surprise. But again, looking at the assignments of it here, we have 3 accounts currently that are global administrators. We can add more too if we want to, but we're not going to do that for the global administrator. We're actually going to do this for a couple others as well. But let's go over to roles and administrators. All right, so First and foremost, what I want to do here and what we're going to do for lab is we're going to open up inside of here, and I'm just going to show you. You don't have to follow this one here just yet. I'm going to open up a new incognito browser, and I'm going to log in with, come over here to users, active users. So remember these users that I created before, and go back to sync status just to show you. Remember, I have some users that are on premise, some that are in the cloud, so on and so forth. We're going to deal with Geddy Lee here. So G Lee, I'm going to log in with this, and I'll bring this over here in just a second at Pocket Square Professor.live. Next. I'm not going to say sign in. As you see on here, hey, welcome to your new office. Now this is just a user that has a license on it. That's it. Nothing more. You'll notice over here that, okay, go away. When we click the little waffle, just to give you an idea, and we go to all apps, we have nothing over here that is out of the norm. These are just our standard licensed applications that we were given access to. That's easy enough. We do not have admin over here because, well, shouldn't come as a surprise, this user account is not an admin. So what we're going to do, and I'm just going to drag this back over, is we're going to come over here to roles and administrators. And we're going to give, we'll do SharePoint administrator. We're going to add an assignment here for Geddy Lee. And then we're going to type in Geddy. There he is. Click on him and then click add. And then you'll see that he has been successfully added. So again, in this instance here, we always want to make sure that we give it a minute or so. So it's not really that big of an issue. So we're going to come over here, and you'll notice that when we refresh, still don't have anything, and I'll just keep refreshing here. I don't see any admin. So when does this take place? Well, again, remember, we have that Microsoft Minute that we got to be cognizant of here, but actually what ends up happening, we'll go ahead and sign out. And we'll completely sign out. Sign back in. And it looks like it still has not taken effect. So what will end up happening here in time, we always have to sign out to sign back in for these to come into play here. But what will happen in time is this account here, we will see admin that pops up under there. So like I said, we always have to wait for that Microsoft Minute. But that will come on here in just a time or in just a minute. So I'll go ahead and pause here for the time being. So again, I don't have to bore you to tears while we're waiting for it. So give me just a minute here, and I will wait just a minute or two, and then I'll be back. All right, I am back. That took literally 1 minute. So again, one of those things, you just got to wait. There's really not much that can be done on here. So after about a minute, I signed out, signed back in, and now you'll see over here, again, I have the Geddy Lee account. I have admin. When I click on admin, you'll notice that we have a little bit different of an experience over here. So if we come over here, we go to show all, close out of that there, and I go to all admin centers like we have before, I only have SharePoint on here. Now again, coming over here to billing, I can see I have licenses. Support, I can still open up support requests because of SharePoint related features. But you'll notice I don't have all of those options that I had before. So again, coming into here, there's not a whole lot of other things that I can do, but you'll notice that I do have access to this portal. Like for instance here, we'll take this backdoor admin account here, and let's just say I wanted to delete it, let's just say. I don't even have the option. There is no option inside of here at all. I can do some read-only pieces to this here, but I will get this a lot. You don't have permission to edit licenses. I don't have permission to view any kind of the mail information, but I come to OneDrive. It's not set up right now for the user, but I would have access to it. So if I come over here to the admin centers again, go to SharePoint, you'll notice that I can jump into the SharePoint admin center. Now I'm not going to dive too far into this admin center because we will get to it in time. But again, I have access to the SharePoint Admin Center, but I do not have access to anything else. I can't get to the Azure AD portal here. I literally can't get to anything. I can only get to essentially what I'm given access to. Everything else I have some view access. That's about it. If I come over here to licenses and such, I can't click on these. I can't get into them, view more information on them. I really can't do too much. So, and that's by design. Remember, if this account were to be compromised, what's the worst that can happen? Well, again, in this instance, I can compromise the entirety of SharePoint, but that's a lot better than compromising the entirety of the portal. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And looking at our assignments on here, we do see that we have Geddy Lee has essentially been given this assignment. So at a high level, that is really it. It is a very short, simple, easy lab here. This is really nothing too major. We're going to get into a point here where we'll be able to do different things to this because of that Azure Active Directory Premium Plan 2 license. We'll be able to do some really cool stuff. Now again, here's another thing that I just want to show you is that it's important to know. So I come over here to audit logs. Everything inside of Office 365 is audited. And you'll see here that we actually have some, we did a couple of things. So we come over here and we see these are some of the things that we did during some of the last and previous ones where we've added members to roles. So for instance, here's the one that I just did here today, and you can see that I initiated it and my target was for Geddy Lee. You can see I added it to that. Now if I were to click on this here, it does show my geographic location as well as my IP address. So I don't want to expose that yet. I'll show that when I'm going through a VPN, when I'm proxied through something here, just to give you an idea of what some of the things that we can look at. But for now, I just want to show you that there are things that are audited. We absolutely have the ability to do so. We can take all of this information and look at it. So again, at a very high level standpoint, this is what the RBAC roles do. And again, take these, replace them for a whole bunch of different scenarios here, and we have a lot of options. You know, like I said, looking at, for instance, like the help desk administrator, hey, I can reset passwords, and for non-administrators and help desk administrators, I can't go above that. No administrators, I can reset passwords for and such. Whole lot of things to do with this here. There's a lot to essentially look at it, but again, when it comes down to it, each one of these are the same. Just knowing what they do, that's the important part, and that's probably the biggest piece too. You will see that on a lot of Microsoft exams as well. Microsoft's very big with the principle of least privilege. So with that being said here, this is pretty much it for this lab. Very short, sweet, and right to the point. I like those, and I'm hoping that a lot of these others will kind of come along like this here too. So with that being said, we are done with this lab here, and I hope to see you in the next one.